Strasbourg. Here we go. You ready? Rock and roll?
Let's do it. Let's do it to it.
All right, picture this. It's a hot summer day in Strasbourg. The year is 1518. You're walking through a busy street, market noise, carts, animals, a whole deal. And then you see a woman step into the road and she starts dancing. Not like, oh, she's vibing. Like something has grabbed her body and won't let go. Hours pass, she's still going. A day passes and she's still going. And then people start joining her. Not for fun, because they can't stop either. Within weeks, the city is watching dozens, then hundreds of people dancing in the streets until they collapse. Some bleeding from their feet, some shaking like having some shaking like they're having seizures and reportedly dying from exhaustion. And the authorities, part is wild, try to fix it by giving them a stage and a band. Welcome to one of the strangest events in European history, the Dancing Plague of 1518. Hello, welcome back to Knuckles FM. I am your host, Cooper Knuckles, followed by, yet again, Steven Scott. Say hello.
Hey, everybody.
I figured this would be a great second episode for us because it is honestly quite interesting that this is even a thing and is yet to actually be solved on what this even is.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Have you heard of the Dancing Plague before?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of deep diving into just random conspiracy theories over time. So that's definitely one of them that I've heard of prior. So it's kind of interesting. I've never really done too much research into it, but it is just kind of one of those weird phenomena that happened back in that time period. It was just, a random, just everyone gets up and goes and they start dancing. This people are dying and
It's all
it's out of
weird.
nowhere.
It's all
Yeah.
weird because at first I was like, this can't be real. Then you look into it and you come to find out it happened. It's reported, at least. It is in documents. And it was like one of
Hmm.
those, like a big thing documented, but nothing came out of it because nobody knows
Mm.
what happened exactly.
Right.
And yeah, I figured it'd be a good thing to talk about. And the fact that it happened all the way back in 1518 is honestly kind of interesting to me because that's like, is horse and buggies even a thing? When did is that like that time or is it like
Horse and
horse
buggy.
riding a thing? Yeah, horse
Uh.
riding's a thing here, ain't it?
Yeah. I mean, horse and buggy was pretty popular all around. Horse and buggy start date. Looking it up right now.
No, you're golden.
Oh, oh, the horse and buggy start date was it was really popular between 1815 and 1915. So that was when it was kind of big.
Hmm.
Um
So
Looks
this
like
is
the first horse-drawn carriage was invented in the late 1830s. By the 1900s, they were largely replaced by automobiles as the primary means of transport.
okay. So
So,
this is more or less just if you're born in this town, you're never leaving, pretty much, unless you're gonna go ride a horse somewhere.
probably a horse, yeah, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. Well, from what this outbreak is usually placed in Strasbourg, then a free city in the Holy Roman Empire, now in modern France, and is commonly dated from mid-July from early September. Historically, debate the details, numbers of death, and some exact steps in the timeline. But this outbreak itself is widely treated as a real historical episode in uh, reputable summaries. Gosh, I can't read. Um, so it's just the fact that it's all not solved. Like, what do you think would cause this? Because I'm sure the dancing is not dancing; it's more of a seizure style,
Hmm.
more or less.
Um, so I kind of covered this with my wife earlier a
There
little
you go.
bit, and I do agree with her a little bit on this. But even today, within the last 30 years, even well, even 40 years, I would say, they used to prescribe basically like a microdose of a certain amphetamine that
Ah,
that we all they still somewhat prescribe, but
Yeah,
in much lower doses now. But in that's today's era. Like
yeah.
within the last 40 years, I mean, that's still a happenstance. Like the people are still prescribed that sort of thing. Now, prior to that, I mean, they used to prescribe cocaine because they thought people had ghosts in their blood. So you're telling me that back then they weren't popping some sort of like some sort of drug, and they were just, I don't know, like Molly of that day or something of that nature.
There's a good chance
That's
because wasn't there a thing? Because there was a whole like mushrooms. Do you think it could be maybe they're on mushrooms? Because wasn't it like they found it in cow shit
Yeah,
somewhere?
so normally like how magic mushrooms are made is from a cow feces,
Yeah.
and basically like it was more popularized by the Vikings
Oh, okay.
because fun fact, that's kind of where the berserker thing came in. So they would basically pump them full of drugs, like mushrooms, like you name it, and they would send them out on the battlefield, and they would go and fight their battles. Which who knows, during that time period, the Vikings were doing a lot of pillaging and going around and like taking certain areas of France, of
That's
England,
true.
all sorts of things like that. So who knows? Maybe they were like, maybe these magic mushrooms are pretty cool.
Yeah, because I mean, okay, we got to look at it too as well. That this is in 1518, the time, the time frame of how people were living back then.
Yeah,
Dirty, dirty, dirty.
dirty people.
Uh, Pretty much. Strasbourg was a busy trading city, but life for most people were harsh. Many historians emphasize a backdrop of repeat hardship, disease, and hunger in the region around this period, and that kind of stress matters for one of the leading explanations today. Also important, people in early modern Europe commonly believed saints could punish communities. In the Strasbourg story, Saint Vitus was often mentioned in connections with the involvement in the movement or dancing. So the setting is the city is under strain in a culture that already has supernatural explanations ready to go. So now we're looking at it as a curse.
I mean, a lot of again, going back into it, like I'm not saying that there isn't a possibility of curse,
It would
but
be
like
fun to say. That's the fun
yeah,
example to
that'd
where
be
it's like,
that
hey,
would be
this
the
is
but realistically, it was probably just like a mass, like who knows, maybe it was like mad cow disease or something like that. Maybe
that's
someone
fair.
got a hold of like mad cow disease.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had like listeria or something that just like basically drove people just crazy, and whatever bacteria that was like feeding on whatever part of the brain that was involved in
Oh,
just
exactly.
died out. Because I mean, even if you think about it, right? So let's go into like one step further with that. So we have those movies and stuff like that, and video games
Mm-hmm.
like The Last of Us, where there's
The fungus.
where's the fungus.
This could be. This could be zombies.
It could be like a zombification, and they're just all dancing because that's the only functionality that the mushroom could take hold of. We don't
It
know.
it very well could have been because I mean, if you look at it, it's like because not all zombie movies are. I guess they're all like the same, as in the parasite is just trying to spread. All it wants to do
Mhm,
is just spread it out and get it to everybody,
mhm.
especially in The Last of Us with the fungus. It wants everybody to be one. So this would make sense to where, because like we said, it's not like they're out there doing the Cupid shuffle all together and all that. They're just shaking their body uncontrollably to where people thought it was dancing. And in 1518, I could only imagine what their preferred dancing moves were. So yeah, I honestly, this could have been the first and only style of zombie apocalypse that we have ever seen.
Ever, ever.
And honestly, I actually really enjoyed that as a theory. That is a whole lot better than just a curse. I don't. They're both fun. A curse and
Yeah,
fun, but the zombie apocalypse is more like actually possible in a way.
Right. Well, it could be more relative to like a scientific theory because it's
Hmm.
like, some of these people actually died, but some of them came out of it okay. Like obviously there was like their feet were all screwed up and stuff like that, but even some cordyceps mushrooms,
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say
um
she could have ate something.
they well, they could have eaten something which caused the cordyceps to like grow or whatever in their brain, and then over time, because of the human body temperature, it didn't survive,
Hmm.
just like in that movie or
Yeah.
game or that.
The sh-
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's all very interesting, but we're gonna go to our patient zero now,
Mm,
who started this whole thing. Mainly, all the stories that I've looked up today, they all start with this woman, often identified as Faro Tor. You want to try to say her name?
say Frau Truffal.
There you go, Frau
Frau
Truffal. She
Frau
reportedly
Truffal.
started dancing in the streets in mid-July of 1518. The consistent core is this: she dances for an extended period, hours into days, collapsing, resting, then continuing. Then the contagion elements hit. Within about a week, reports describe dozens joining in, seemingly sized by the same compulsion. This is when it becomes a whole crisis. It's not one person doing something strange. It's a whole outbreak, and
It's a
now we got a
pandemic.
yeah we it's a pandemic, and now we got a lot of people doing it. And what I think is the funniest thing, and actually makes the most sense for this being such like 1518 style. It did you hear
Oh yeah, I did.
that? She's playing Fortnite. That was the one thing I realized is that when we put the setup down here, that I was like, oh yeah, she'll be playing. I think the funniest thing that fits this time period is that they don't know what it is, so let's just entertain it. And they built stages and had turned this into a giant performative, which all it did was actually just doom a lot of other people.
Hmm. Well, I mean, like even if the French are very performative anyway, so it kind of makes sense for them just to be like, you know what, all these people are dancing. Let's just make a thing out of it.
Join in. Let's just join in. And it's just like, well, okay. Before that, we'll get into
Mhm.
Pharaoh,
Frau,
Frau. We'll
Frau.
get into Frau. She is always and is everybody's patient zero. So she just came into the town and started dancing, and so it pretty much what I would assume based off of what we're talking about. And
Mm.
honestly, out of all like when I was looking up like videos on it and other research, no one said anything about the theory about like eating a mushroom or something.
Hmm.
And honestly, I personally now believe we solved it. We solved this whole thing.
Could
Uh,
you imagine just like,
it has actually.
government just like comes in and be like, you know what? That makes sense.
Well, it makes sense because just like the cordyceps outbreak in The Last of Us,
Mm,
it's a whole like it goes from it just wants to spread, and it does. It's not exactly that, but it makes it seem like a fungus would do this, and with
mhm,
it everything being dirty and not sanitized back in 1518, um,
mhm.
I believe she ate something that led
And
to this.
to be like, I've never been to France. Like, I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
sit there and pretend like I have, but at the same time, like, I don't know what the weather's like, and mushrooms do tend to kind of, spring up more during times of high humidity, high
I bet. I
temperature.
bet it's humid over
So
there.
I would imagine it's pretty humid there.
Yeah, they don't. The EU. This is in Europe. France. They don't have air conditioning, do they? Or am I thinking of the UK?
No, I don't think that France has air conditioning
Yeah, they're still
either.
stupid.
They have air conditioning, it's just not as like common. It's not like
Okay.
a commonplace like it is here.
I thought there was somewhere that doesn't have AC or something. I think
A
I'm thinking
lot
of the
of
UK.
a lot of European countries don't have air conditioning, but it's more just because they don't like really need it like what we do
That's fair.
here. So
Okay.
like our
Yeah.
temperatures get crazy ridiculous. I mean, I keep seeing this one woman that's from like England or something like that, and she's like, "Oh, your temperatures aren't nearly as bad as ours. It's 7 Celsius here," and it's like, we're dealing with like -50 Fahrenheit. You can do the math
Yeah.
on that conversion there, but like 7 is like 40
Yeah,
degrees.
you're in
All
Florida and
right,
it just got to 30 degrees over there.
I
So
know, dude. It's supposed to
it's still
snow here
it's snowing right now where I'm at.
in South Florida. It is supposed to snow.
It's so
Like,
good.
it's not an accumulation or anything, but it's still gonna flurry. It's like, w what's happening?
Yeah, 100%. But I could definitely see some fungus form it was thriving, some sort.
Mhm.
Because I don't know of a disease that you could just wake up and you start shaking, unless
Well,
unless it was, or I don't know.
again, like, I mean, I don't know much about the cuisine. Again, like, I'm not familiar with their culture very much, but,
Mm-hmm.
like, I would imagine that they ate anything and everything that they could, especially
100%.
during that time period. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
again, there's mad cow disease. Mad cow disease can make people do a lot of crazy things. They can make them go crazy.
That's also a fact.
Um,
It's also a good
and
possibility that someone drank some
and
bad cow milk. Is that how
well,
you get
that
cow disease?
no, it's from eating cow brains.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. I could see it. I could see them doing
Yeah.
that back in 1518.
Yeah, so I mean, even something like that, or like, I mean, I think that there's some sort of like bacteria that grows on like monkey brains too that can
Mm,
cause people to like go crazy as well. But that I would have to actually like physically look up. I haven't read on it in a long time, but that was common in like India and China for a while.
I gotcha.
So,
Um, so yeah, we got this. It doesn't ever say like how many days go by, obviously, but all we get is that the city just tried to fix the whole situation. Authorities consulted physicians, and some accounts describe doctors deciding the dancers suffered from overheated blood, a
overheated blood.
mm, a humoral imbalance in the medical logic of the day. So the recommended solution wasn't rest or isolation; it was more dancing.
Leeches.
Sweat it
Oh,
out.
oh, I
You
was gonna
know,
say leeches.
leeches probably would have worked better for these guys.
Uh, Also, I looked it up, and it says that according to, well, again, according to Wikipedia, it says that it lasted from July to September, so it was
Yeah.
2 months.
So
So it was 2 months long.
it was probably a week before it was a big like stage, I bet.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Officials reported uh, officials reportedly clearing spaces for dancing, used halls, set up stages, and even brought in musicians. Some retellings add the strong helper were hired to keep the dancers from falling as they staggered. If you're thinking that would make it worse, you're not alone. Many modern summaries treat this response as escalating the crisis.
I could definitely see that because it's like, oh, here, let me just get you back on your feet when your feet are like bleeding
Yeah.
already.
It's like, oh, you got to get it out of you. If he's still moving, you still got to dance.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I guess in a way, they did dance themselves to death, but like in a
Mm,
way of like their body practically shut down. It was just uh, some later accounts and popular retelling describe deaths from exhaustion, stroke, and heart failure. But
mm.
exact death totals are uncertain, and the historians debate how literally they to take certain claims.
Mm.
So no one really knows how many people died. We just know this happened.
And that
Uh,
people died.
yeah. So it's pretty much how. Okay, what would what did I say? Warm blood. They said their blood was.
Blood was too warm. I I mean, I don't know.
That's not much
I
of a thing.
I don't know that there is real. I mean, like like your blood can boil
Yeah.
with like certain like obviously it's a liquid, it's going to be able to boil, but I would imagine that to a certain point, like unless the temperatures outside were like just ungodly hot during that time period, that would be less likely that they would be over their blood would be overheating and more like they're all just dropping dead in the streets.
Yeah, and when you
So,
think about it, also, it's kind of like if you their blood's hot, they gotta sweat it out. Why don't you put them in something cold? Granted,
a
there was
lake.
no a lake or water. Make it colder for them, and they're like
Mhm.
I feel like I'm not a doctor, but I feel like that should have been an option. Uh, but what do I know, really? Let's just build a stage and let these guys dance it off.
Dance it out.
Dance it
Gotta
out, my guy.
gotta dance the ghosts out, right?
Yeah, it is. Oh, where to go? And we also got to remember medicine. When do you think medicine actually became pretty good? It was for
Like
us not that long ago. Like the
I
doctors and all that not being idiots because nothing was ever sanitary or nothing. Just like there's one episode I want to do on President Garfield, the most
mhm.
forgotten president. Who I watched? Did you watch that Netflix show that they made? It was like a
No, I
limited
didn't.
4 episode thing, and I
Uh,
watched it because I didn't exactly know how he died.
mhm.
Wild. He
I think it
shot in
was
the
like
back.
diabetes.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was.
he got shot in the back, and if this is true based off of that, but he was shot in the back, and the doctors like they never sterilized their stuff. The bullet did not have to be moved. Like the bullet was perfectly fine, but the doctor just kept going in and like, oh, it's fine. We need to go in, and
Oh
he
no.
killed him by doing that. Like this, he got infected and all that.
I would imagine that sepsis probably like I mean sepsis is still even common to this day, not necessarily from the practices of the doctor and like the medications and stuff, but um I mean you can get let's say you have diabetes and the circulation in your leg starts getting cut off and your toes start to turn like blue, black, whatever. I mean, eventually when that limb dies off or something in your body dies off, you can become sepsis. Like that's just how it works.
I'm genuinely surprised that doctors are even a thing in 1518.
Well, I mean, they were more like I
Caregivers.
would I would say that like I would say what an equivalent to a doctor would be back in like 15 like probably the 1500s is probably like the same knowledge that like you and I would possibly have.
That's fair. Someone
If
who
not
just
less. If not less.
they claim like, hey, I know what to do here. Like, hey, don't worry,
Yeah.
I got him.
Yeah,
Because
like don't worry. If I have to cut his leg off, I know how to do that. And just
I got it. Just yeah. Because I mean, you got to also think doctors still in 17, whenever George Washington died.
mhm,
That's also a hilarious death of a president to where he
mhm.
got pneumonia, and they're like, we just need to drain his blood until all the bad blood's out, and he died from blood loss.
Yeah, you know, stuff like that is just it makes me laugh because
It's
like,
wild how we're even still like a functioning, like how we're all alive.
yeah. And it makes me wonder because it's like again, going back to the whole situation of like, the fact that we are still prescribed low doses of an amphetamine
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just makes you
Pretty
wonder.
wild.
But on the flip side of that, like obviously medication has come like a long way. I mean,
Oh,
there's vaccines,
100%.
medication, but I would say uh, I would honestly say that maybe the time period where it like maybe started making like higher advancements was I would say probably like the 80s. I want to say the 80s. But
I
that's
would agree with that.
but that's just because like, all the hippies and shit from the 70s were like realizing like, oh hey, like people need help.
Yeah.
And like so I found this out bit like during my stint like studying for EMT school.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the way that like nurses and EMTs came about was based out of like war. So I think the first one
Is it out of
was
horror?
in war.
Oh, war. I thought you
Yeah,
said horror. I
war.
was like, oh, scary movies.
No, so basically like it was there they basically figured out that there was like a need for transport
Okay.
from the battlefield
Okay.
and to start treating the wounds. So then they
Yeah.
started basically like making these, battle ready guys that would go out and I mean battle and medic ready guys, so they'd like go out with
Okay.
like tissues and stuff like
Oh,
that
that's
and
pretty
like
cool.
wrap up the people that needed, aid like immediately and stuff like that. And then it progressed on into like World War II,
Yeah.
but the EMTs and like nurses and stuff like that weren't even like really a thing without war. Like that was kind of what brought
Yeah.
that on. So I would imagine that like again, it probably wasn't as advanced until like the 80s.
I would agree. It's very, that's a whole interesting topic of its own.
Mm,
If I'm being completely honest about it, but uh, eventually the whole dance it out approach clearly was not working. Who's surprised? In many retellings, authorities pivot towards a spiritual framing. The idea of the dances were suffering divine punishment, often
mm.
linked to Saint Vitus, however you say it. At some
Vitas
point,
probably.
the city response shifts from. At some point, the city response shifts away from encouraging dancing. Reports describe bans on music and public dancing, and afflicted people being sent to a shrine.
Interesting.
uh, they made a shrine with of Saint Vitus, a famous detail in some actions in the use of red shoes and ritual elements meant to seek relief. By early September, the outbreak fades and mysteriously, it fades away as mysteriously as it began. So pretty much, I've also seen and heard when I looked up some stuff that they eventually like designated a certain spot for them all to go. They're like, we're
Mm,
just gonna take you over here and let them all die off there. And then when they all
right.
died off there, it was done. That's also what I've looked up to.
Could you imagine like being alive in like around that time period, maybe like 15, 20 years down the line, you just
Wild.
go to like the town square and then you just start randomly dancing just to like freak people out again?
Oh my! I feel like you'd be killed on spot more or less.
Oh, oh, jailed at least.
It's interesting that they like made a shrine of this guy to like try to like, hey, lift the curse and all that, which is still a fun thing to think, because I mean it did start going away right after they did that. Not like right after, but it
Mm.
was around when they stopped.
I kind of wonder if they're like claiming it to be some sort of like Sodom and Gomorrah type of situation. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
the prostitutes and all the drugs and the money laundering and everything else like, caused some sort of curse to be brought onto the people. So
yeah, more or
it was
less.
God's divine punishment for whatever.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. So I got into like in the scripts here for like theories and all that, and
Mm,
we got here. First theory is ergot poisoning.
okay.
And this is probably the best theory we got out of him because it does deal with fungus. Ergot is a fungus that can infect rye and produce toxic compounds. In some historical contexts, uh, ergotism has been used to explain outbreaks involving hallucinations and uh, convulsions. So
Interesting.
probably
Interesting.
probably the number one top theory I'm gonna go with, because uh, I feel like that makes the absolute most sense. because apparently there's an issue here. The issue is, gosh dang it, just stay there. Many researchers argue ergot poisoning does not neatly explain large groups of dancing for days in a sociable or contagious pattern.
Contagion.
It may cause spasms and delirium, but it struggles to match the sustained spreading behavior described in Strasbourg.
Well, I mean, I yes and no.
Yeah.
Because like similarly to like let's say like today's restaurants, right?
Mm-hmm.
When there's an infestation or some sort of like food poisoning outbreak, it's not normally just one person. Normally it's a group of people who have eaten from that same place,
That's
had
true.
that contagion from the same, so whatever source that they might have been getting their bread from or their wheat from or their water from could
Yeah.
have been the cause. With it being as dirty as it was back then, especially in France, like all
Yeah,
day.
and I mean, when it just maybe it was contained in like a certain style of bread. Not everyone eats the same stuff exactly every day,
Right,
so it was more or less like every other day, somebody else joined because they were eating or drinking whatever everyone else is drinking. So I
right.
feel like so far theory one is the most reasonable one at the moment.
Mhm.
But does make a good argument on the whole spreading, because you also got to think too, because how well documented is it that maybe there was a drug everyone was taking and they were passing it
Right,
along and nobody even caught that or even wrote it down, because
right.
everyone who saw them passing was probably in the group dancing with them.
Yeah, like maybe it was some sort of like cocaine or speed or something
In
like
a
that that
way,
made them
like, here,
like,
take it, eat it.
yep.
And then theory two, mass psychological illness, stress included social contagion.
That that's kind of like a mass delirium type of explanation, but that's like a stress induced delirium,
Mm-hmm.
which could have, I would have to see the amount of deaths to really be like, yeah, that's it. Because
It,
like you have to think about it, like for mass hysteria, like how many people died? How big was this city?
mm-hmm.
Like if you had an actual record of that, it could be possible, but they don't have the record of the amount of people because like or like where these people came from or any of that background information. If they had more background information, like who knows, maybe the entire group of people were in some sort of, raid or their hometown like
Yeah,
crusades or something of that nature, you know what I mean?
you're not wrong, because apparently this is like a heavyweight theory that some people do cling on to, because Strasbourg, the setting of the town is hardship plus a strong belief in saintly punishment, may
Mhm.
have provided the script for how distressed showed up in bodies.
Hmm.
Like you said, pretty much we'd have to, like, you got to be there to understand the stress. Granted,
Mhm.
I mean, it's 1518. I feel like you got to worry about a lot of things, and you probably could be stressed out pretty well, but I don't think people would continue for days. I think the dancing would eventually get out of their system,
Just
and then they
putter
go
out,
home.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They wouldn't just
Uh,
die. They wouldn't just die from exhaustion or, organ failure from probably not eating, because I would imagine that they probably didn't eat while they were doing this whole little shindig.
exactly.
You know, they would die from like what Brittany just said. I mean, they would die from dehydration first before anything
Exactly.
else.
And then obviously theory number three, culture or religious pattern, as in cursing, like in a way, like they emphasize
Hmm.
a similar dance. Mains were reported elsewhere in Europe for centuries. Cultures can shape this from symptom take. What the fuck is this wording? Cultures can shape the form symptoms take. Bad wording. What the community realizes is like it's a curse. Everyone got cursed.
Hmm.
So it can overlap in mass physical illness rather than contradicting it. I
Right.
feel like this is the weakest argument. If I'm being completely frank, I don't think a whole town was cursed.
No.
Possible, because you could think maybe
You
it was a
never know.
witch. Maybe it was a
Yep.
witch. Was Frey a witch?
But did she die though? Did she die of the dancing plague, or did she die of
I
other
don't think
things?
it said she died, unless it did say she died. I think we said she died. Did we say she died?
Yes.
Okay, she died.
She did die. Well, she did die,
Maybe it was one of those. It
but
was like a suicide mission for her.
impacted teens. Let's see. Let's see.
Which,
Death.
speaking of that, that would be another great podcast episode. Is the Salem witch trials?
Mm.
We will get
So,
into that one.
oh, I love the Salem witch trials. According to according to Wikipedia here, it says that Frau was the initial figure in the dancing plague of 1518, which led to numerous deaths, but specific details about her own death remain unclear.
She's a witch.
She's a witch.
She's a witch. Get her.
Witches, they burn women.
Yeah, they did. They did do that.
I got the peanut gallery in the background still,
it's all
so.
golden. So, okay, that moves up to my second favorite theory. Between theories of she was a witch or it was a curse, and the theory of it was a fungus that was in people's foods or they were passing around, are more or less the absolute bread and butter of what happened in this whole thing.
I still think it could be something related to what they were eating more than likely. Because another kind of background that could be an explanation is like during that time period, obviously they didn't even travel by horse and buggy. They traveled by horse.
Mm-hmm.
How did they bring stuff over there? They either grew it themselves,
Yeah,
or some trader brought stuff over from wherever.
exactly.
So the question is, whatever source, and mind you, those sources would take months and months and months to do. So if they stored, let's say they had all this wheat that they harvested over the time period that they harvested their wheat, they stored it in the shed or something of that nature, which I would imagine is what they did. And they didn't keep it in a dry environment. They kept it in, it was, like moist or whatever.
Yeah.
It brought in that mold, that whatever, to cause all these people to go crazy, or whatever the meat that they could have been eating, or the cows were eating that, the wheat, and that was causing them to go crazy, and then they didn't know that the cows were crazy, and then they ate the meat from the cow. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. And it just brings back to why this story still hits, why it's still talked about today, all the way in the big 2026. Yeah. I forgot.
Dude, it's crazy every time. Crazy every time.
The creepiest part isn't mold or demons. It's the possibility that humans, under the right pressure, environment, or some food or something they've ingested, can fall into a shared nightmare. Can fall into a shared nightmare that feels completely real and takes over the body. Strasbourg also isn't alone. Other dance manias were reported across Europe under names like St. Vitus Dance or St. John's Dance, suggesting a border pattern of behavioral epidemics in certain cultures' conditions. We can't diagnose 1518 like a modern chart, but we can see how beliefs, fear, and stress and community can fuse into something that looks like a plague without germs.
Now, here's my question. Was it really going across Europe, or was Europe just making fun of France because they thought it was funny?
If anything, it could have been like a whole not a memorial, but like oh, this is like a year went by. We're going to do a little party for them. Like, this is now, we're calling it this, you know?
Yeah. The epidemic of the
Uh,
Venus dance.
the St. Vita's dance. Let's do it. Are you going to the St. Vita's dance tonight? I'm going. So,
Yeah, like a prom every year or something like that.
So, pretty much, it hits. It is kind of scary if you think about it. On like this, it happened. This did happen. We don't exactly know what happened, like how it happened, but it was recorded in history, and that's what we love on this channel. Is recorded wild, stupid history.
Yep. Dude, again, I still think even at this point, like with the explanation behind, like even going back even farther. So because the Viking raids were back in like the early AD, like 970 to 1200 AD or something like that. The Vikings used magic mushrooms to go absolutely apeshit crazy. They did. And like other drugs. But the main one was mushrooms. So you're telling me that that couldn't be a reasonable explanation of why these people went nuts and started dancing?
Exactly.
Maybe they were seeing like pretty colors and they were like, "Oh my god, this is the color that I need."
I believe there is a town in Elden Ring that is not based, but there is a town in Elden Ring that I remember. I went to this town and everybody there is dancing. Obviously, if you fight them, they will fight you, but they're all dancing. They don't stop dancing when you get over there. I do remember seeing that. I didn't know if this was like, you know, if they put that in there as like a, oh, look, here's a.
It's Dominula Windmill Village.
Yeah, there's a windmill village there. There's a hard boss there. He's wild, but everybody there is dancing, and they don't stop dancing. It's honestly one of my favorite locations on Elden Ring. But
very nice.
I didn't know if this was like based, if this story made like even if that town was based on this or something.
I literally put in Elden Ring town based on Dancing Plague, and that was the first thing that popped up. So I would imagine that that's probably what it was.
There you go. There you go. But other than that, I feel like we covered it pretty well. We got some good assumptions on what happened here, and I think it's safe to say we solved the case. It was magic mushrooms.
Absolutely. I agree.
Heck yeah. Well, this is perfect. Great little episode here, my guy. I'm very happy with it.
Very good.
Very good. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like and subscribe. Comment down below if you got anything that you would love to see us go over and talk about. We might do Salem Witch Trials next. I'm not exactly sure. It might fit the whole week or this month, but we'll see. Other than that, I had a lot of fun. You got anything left to say?
Nope. Just keep on watching and enjoy.
Exactly. Now, if you can't stop your body from dancing, stay inside, lock your door, and just, I guess, die there. So, yeah.
Call a doctor.
Call a doctor.
See if you can get tested.
Yeah, get tested. Let us know what happened. Like, subscribe. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.